I I am happy to see everybody here today. We're finally having an in-person meeting. This is the first time in almost probably a year and a half, I guess. So, welcome. We have an excellent program for you today. I'm going to stand at the podium because I have a few things as far as gold timers and corporate and so forth to talk about a little bit. And I want to make sure I have my notes and everything. So instead of walking around like I usually do, I'm up here. Anyway,
Joe,
you're very happy.
it may be better to hold it like I think people are hearing you.
All right. I'm going to hold the mic. Is that better? Hey. Which is what I usually do anyway. So. Okay. Let's give you some gold timer news. We gave you pens and paper today because we're going to have a few things to talk about that you may want to take a few notes on. So I first want to thank our sponsors, Busey Bank, who will have a little short conversation with you this morning, and also Direct Travel, who of course is out here in the lobby with all of the program, with all the travel that we now have planned for the near future. So those two have been fantastic for us as far as keeping us alive and also supporting us for all the various things that we're doing. So thanks to Brett Peterson and to Tim Davis from Direct Travel for being there for us. I hope that you have been looking at our website. Can I see a hands? Has everybody looked at the website? Okay. I hope you like it. This is the hard work of Marie Lundenberger, who I'm not sure is in the room right now, but and Dave Kobus, and Dave is not with us today, but a lot of hard work went into it, and I think it's really great, especially with the photos and everything else that's on there. And you'll be hearing more about that website becomes more important as far as getting information that we'll talk about. Another communication item that we've started is the e-news. And this is the hard work of Mary Bowman, who's back there. And I hope that you have signed up for it. We will be sending it out on a need basis. So probably be at least every 2 or 3 weeks, but lately it's been running more than that. There are computers in the back on the left side there, basically that you can sign up if you haven't done so already. Okay. We've been busy the last few months getting things together for our last meeting in November, which will be our finance meeting, and also our 2022 plans, which we will be announcing in our website as they come up. One thing that we know that we probably will have in March will be a little bit more focused on the State Farm retiree programs, and that will involve several people that we're now working with in corporate. So we also have a new member to our committee, Kathy Clary, and we're really happy to have Kathy on it. Kathy be working with our travel people. Okay, and I didn't think I'd ever say this again. Now a word from corporate. Yes, we are working more closely with corporate. they came to us to assist their communication process, especially that we have this website out there that would be a very good vehicle for getting information to retirees. We're now meeting, in fact, she's also in our committee meetings at times from the B-Link, and you're going to hear more about the B-Link in a future meeting, which will be a little bit in November, and then more so next March. And this is the new outsource from the company as far as community involvement. So I don't have that many details to give you. There's some information out on the retiree site, on the State Farm retiree site, and that's under the, I'm trying to remember where that is under.
Newsroom.
Thank you. Newsroom, yes. I won't get into the retiree site as far as my view, so don't.
Joe, do mention though that they can find it also on our Gold Timers website.
Right. Our website does have a link to the B-Link, and that's very clearly out there. Finally, and no applause, next year is the 100th anniversary of State Farm, and we are involved in it. That is, and retirees will be in the loop and also involved. The first information, in fact, we received the first links yesterday afternoon, so bear with me, I had to change a few things around here as far as, our website has the 100th anniversary links. It's under the general information selection on that screen. There's also going to be an email sign-up through corporate, so that, and that's not any connection to our e-news. This is a separate thing. If you want updates on the 100th anniversary, you can go out there and sign up on it. We have a link to that also on our website. Okay. We also have a 100th anniversary committee within Gold Timers, and we're working on that as far as some programs that we may want to do. We don't have details at this point. We have to coordinate also with corporate on that. So the only other thing that I just wanted to emphasize, which our corporate partners asked for, is that you also can get information about, which is through the B-Link, of the various nonprofit groups that you can become involved in. And it's also a way of volunteering as well as donating, and that's part of what the B-Link is going to be about too. So with that, I'm finished. I will now hand this over to Brett Peterson, who will give us an update from Busey.
Appreciate it, thank you. Good morning, everybody. It's good to see everybody in person. I know the last couple of years has been kind of, well, it's been different. Again, a brief introduction to myself. So my name is Brett Peterson. I lead the wealth management team for Busey. We've been working with the Gold Timers group now for almost 2 years, and it's been a really good relationship. We really enjoyed it. The thing that I keep telling the group is it's rare when you have so many quality people in one group. So again, this group kind of really represents that in many ways. Some other brief introductions of my local team here. In the back here we have Taylor Morgan, who's my lead advisor on my team, who's wife Taylor. We have Catherine Wills, who runs our private clients. So many community for a number of years. Is Jess back there? So we also have Jessica Cruz here today, which we recently added to the local wealth management team. A little bit of background of Busey. So obviously Busey's been around for a long time, almost 150 years. Our wealth management department has grown significantly over those years. We now manage about $12.5 billion and cover multiple different markets and have about 125 different associates. As we kind of think about that, one of the things we wanted to do for the Gold Timers group was really to be able to provide maybe some additional services and some things that we don't offer generally to the public if you're not a client or a customer of the bank. So there's two services that one we currently offer and one we're working on in addition to what we do here on a regular basis. The first one being is really going to be the retirement forecast. So one of the tools we offer, obviously for all our clients, is financial planning. That can be time intensive. It can be very, very in-depth. And so one of the things we've been doing recently is offering a more streamlined version of that. So thinking about things around cash flow, asset allocation, other things that kind of happen in retirement. So instead of doing a comprehensive financial plan, we may parse off a piece of it, and then we can provide that to the group. Typically, we would charge for these kind of services, but it is a free service for everybody that's a member of the Gold Timers group. In the packet that we sent out today, so in the Busey bag and some information in there, talks a little bit more about that. The other big thing that we're working on, and we haven't done one yet, but we've talked about doing a smaller workshop. So we've had the committee has had really good feedback around the seminars and the recordings. But what they wanted to do was maybe offer something at a more local level that's in person. That's a smaller, more informal group where it's easier to ask questions and have a deeper conversation. So we're working on putting together these Gold Timer workshops, and topics will include things like charitable giving, tax strategies, Medicare and Medicaid, so on and so forth, right? So and we're open for suggestions. I know Larry and the committee have talked about that as well. They're open for suggestions there. And really, there's nothing that there's very few things that are outside our realm, but we can at least bring somebody in that can talk at a high level about it, or at a deep level about it. Our intention is to have that really happen hopefully in October, so late October. So we're looking to maybe send out some information hopefully over the next couple weeks about that, about signups. We are going to limit that to 30 people. That will be at a local level. That will be at UC Bank right there by Best Buy. It'll be probably a morning appointment. And again, it's much more, there'll be a formal presentation, but it'll be more about asking questions, and we can kind of get into that if we'd like. So we're working on that piece. A couple other things. Make sure we cover all the bases here. Heavy breath, heavy breath. Things coming up. So this November we have another quarterly meeting. We have many of you who, can I get a show of hands who's been or who has heard from Zach Hiller, our Chief Investment Officer? Has anybody in this room seen a presentation by him? Okay, so he'll be presenting again this November with Diane Ryan, and so we're going to have a joint event, hopefully in person as long as everything allows. Zach will, again, Zach leads our investment strategy, so again, he's our Chief Investment Officer. He's going to talk broadly about the market, where we see things, kind of a forecast into 2022 too, what maybe to expect. So we're expecting a pretty big turnout for that. Diane has a few important updates I know around State Farm mutual funds and some other things as well, so that should be a good showing there with Diane and Zach. One other thing here, we're obviously recording this, so this is something that we've added over the last year. So since this is our first in-person where we've done a recording, the previous couple meetings, what we've done is we've done a webinar, recorded that. That's available on the Gold Timers website, so if you'd like to go back and see that, you can see those recordings. Also, if you have folks that couldn't make it because of obvious reasons, just go ahead and you can share those links and let them know that that's available. So again, we're recording these. It'll probably take us about 5 days to get it to the committee, but that will be available on the Gold Timers website as well. Again, we really appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, please.
And with your workshops,
Good question. Yeah, so that's actually going to be, we're gonna create the invite on Busey, but we're gonna share it through the Gold Timers group. So it'll come directly from Gold Timers, and then we'll just cap it at 30 for restrictions and size and just quality of service, I think. I think it'll be a better conversation with your folks there. Our intention is to probably do, what I'd like to do is I'd like to do it on a quarterly basis, so 4 times a year, around different topics that matter. If we have a big turnout and we have 100 people that want to get involved in the Medicare, Medicaid, for example, we can do multiple versions of that. That's not a problem. Those will not be recorded. Again, those are just more intimate, more personal kind of conversations. So not such a broad group, but we can kind of bring questions to those, and hopefully we can answer those questions for you. Anybody else have any other questions? Okay. All right. Well, again, we appreciate it. It's been a pleasure so far, and a lot of good things today. Julie, I'm excited for your presentation, and we'll talk to you soon. Okay. Thanks. Tom, sir.
Thanks, Brett. It's my pleasure this morning to talk to you a little bit about Gold Timers travel. Let me remind you that anybody that is a retiree, a current employee, a relative, or a guest, I guess anybody you can find on the street, you can bring them along. Before we discuss trips, I want to thank Direct Travel for their involvement and sponsorship of the Gold Timers. Our main contact with Direct Travel is Sandy Polly, and Sandy's the one out front with the brochures, so if you have any trips that you're interested in, she'll have those brochures out there. As a reminder, you can keep up with our trips and our information meetings on our website, and now with our Gold Timer e-news as well. As you all know, during the past year, COVID has presented us many problems with our travel program, and most of our trips have been canceled. But recently, we had a group go to Africa, and I know we have at least 4 people in our group that were on that trip. Said the trip was outstanding. As Tim Davis has said for several years, travel is wonderful if you don't have to go and come back. And with COVID, I think that's doubled the pleasure or doubled the challenge. We're going to have an information meeting on October the 12th at 4:30 in this same room to cover 3 trips. And I think there was a flyer on your desk that mentions those 3 trips. And it looks like this one. And the 3 trips are Shades of Ireland that goes in April of next year, London and Paris that goes in May, and then a September trip in Colorado, the Colorado Rockies and historic trains. So if you're interested in any of them, Sandy does have the brochures, or you can come to that meeting as well. We do have 3 trips that remain for this year, and they are, the first one is the Painted Canyons, which is primarily the national parks in Utah. And then we also have New York and San Antonio trips that are in December for the holidays. So if you're interested in any of those, brochures are available. On our website, you can see a full list of our trips, and I'm not going to cover those, but Sandy had prepared a travel summary that has all the trips that we are having, as well as some that we're working on at the current time. We have 3 that will be going on our website real soon, and one is a Hawaii cruise in February of 2023. Alaska cruise that will be in August of 2023, and New England Rails and Sails, which is in September of 2023. We had a meeting last couple of days ago with Direct Travel, and the last thing that came up was a trip in 2024. That seems like a long ways away for a retiree. But again, it's a trip that we are planning, and I see that Sandy has it listed, and it's a trip, let me find it, the Steps of St. Paul, and we're going to do that in May of 2024. So that kind of concludes my part on travel. If you have any questions, stop by and see us afterwards, or stop by and see Sandy out front. And with that, I'm going to ask Larry Phillips to come up and introduce our speaker for today.
Now for the main attraction. Are you ready for the main attraction? This is why we came here, right? Well, it's my pleasure to introduce to you today Julie Holliday, who is owner and senior move manager for Beautiful Life Senior Relocation Services Organization, which is a local business. And I'm anxious for Julie to tell you more about her business and what she can do for us. You know, as we age, we go through lots of changes and lots of issues that we probably would just as soon not have to address. But nevertheless, they present themselves, like, for instance, sinus problems. So I apologize for my croaky throat this morning. Those of you who are in your 70s and 80s, you may already have downsized your home or changed your living arrangement. For those of you young retirees who are in your 50s or 60s, you may still be helping your aging parents make some decisions about housing. And the thing that's interesting, life just seems to get more and more complicated, and whenever you have these topics in front of you, you always wonder, who can I trust? Who can I turn to? Who knows about these issues and will help me make this a little bit more simplified? Well, when it comes to downsizing or things of this nature, I think Julie Holliday is going to be able to help you do that. It's so interesting. We talked with Julie some time ago and learned that this is a business that's really worldwide now. There are people all around the world who specialize in helping retirees or older people, if you will, downsize their homes. And she has her own personal stories of helping her grandmother and seeing several friends go through this, and saw them probably, stumble a bit and maybe not have the best experience. And that's what led her to deciding to form her own business. And I think she also chose a great name. Isn't A Beautiful Life a great name for something like this? It can be a beautiful life, and I think Julie's going to help you understand that. Julie is married. She has 3 children. She's a graduate of Illinois Wesleyan University. She was a former staff member of St. John's Lutheran Church and working with the children, I think. Is that right? So she's got a great background and just the great kind of disposition to help us deal with a subject like this that isn't always easy. So Julie, would you come forward and tell us how you're going to simplify that for us?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Let me get situated here. Good morning. Good morning. Most people absolutely hate the process of moving.
True.
Maybe just thinking about it, you kind of have a little something going on in the pit of your stomach right now. Maybe you're thinking back to years ago when you moved. Maybe you were transferred with State Farm. You had kids to resettle, you had family and friends that you had to say goodbye to. All those things are hard and challenging. Maybe, like Larry said, you've already downsized and you have moved into a senior living community. Maybe you've just downsized to a smaller home, or maybe you've already downsized to a condo. Maybe it's in your near future. Maybe you're getting ready to do some of those things. If you're like me, I'm in the category that Larry talked about, where I'm looking ahead as my senior parents are aging, and we're seeing that this is on the horizon for them. The downsizing of the house, the huge storage room full of all the family treasures, all of my dad's woodworking shop. It's very daunting to think about. Most of us feel overwhelmed when we think about all of these things, and have absolutely no idea where to start. 10 years ago, that's kind of dark, but 10 years ago, that's really where my family was at. We had my grandmother, who was 92 years old. She had lived on her own in their home. She'd been widowed since 2000 and had been doing fine, but the time had come that she needed to move into a senior living community, into assisted living. So I traveled 2 hours each way every weekend for weeks on end to help my parents and to help my aunts and uncles go through everything in the house. I enjoy that type of thing. Most people don't. I enjoy organizing, but it really helped me see this is an emotional, difficult, and hard process. Many of you in this room have probably been through it at one time or another, maybe helping your own parent, and you know what that's like. It's really hard and challenging. Fast forward, a few years later, probably about 6 years after that, I was sitting in our local Panera having coffee with a good friend. She was telling me about her aunt in Portland, Oregon, who never had any children, and she was helping her with her move to assisted living. And I looked at her, remembering what we had gone through with my own family, and said, well, how on earth are you doing this? You live here in Illinois. She lives in Portland, Oregon. How are you doing this? I don't understand. And she said, we've hired a senior move manager. And I said, what's that? I've never heard of that. So she proceeded to explain to me what a senior move manager was. And I had major light bulbs go off in my head, and I thought, that is an incredible idea. That is a service that so many people need. So, Beautiful Life, at that moment, was born. Took me a little longer to come up with the name. I appreciate that you like it. I labored over that. It really is named Beautiful Life for exactly the reason you said. It's an opportunity to work with seniors and their families to celebrate the life that they've lived and the life that they're continuing to live. Beautiful Life is a senior relocation business that I started, so it is a local business. And we specialize in working with seniors to help them with the overwhelming process of downsizing and moving to a new home. As I mentioned, most people have no idea where to start. So we've developed a 4-step moving plan to help take people from living where they are to their new home, surrounded only by the things that they really treasure most, and moving on to their next phase of their life. Our ultimate goal is to give all of our clients peace of mind and less stress. I'm just going to say that again. Doesn't that feel good? Peace of mind and less stress. I didn't say no stress, because it is still a big process to go through, but less stress, and that sounds good, doesn't it? Especially if you've been through this before. I've had many people say, I wish I would have known about you, or I wish your business had existed 10, 15 years ago when we went through this with my own parent. It all starts with a free consultation. So we meet in a potential client's home. Typically, family members are there. Sometimes people do not have any family local. Sometimes an adult child might fly in and to be a part of the decision-making process. We spend that time visiting, learning more about what their future plans are, learning more about the services that we provide, and just having that get-to-know-you opportunity. We end that consultation with taking a tour around the house, where I take a lot of pictures and we have an opportunity to learn about the types of things that they're wanting to bring with them and the challenging areas that if they have us choose to help them downsize that might be in our future, So it just gives us a bigger, broader perspective on the types of things that, and services that they might be needing. I go back to my office and put together a cost estimate based on whatever the needs are of that client. Everything that we do is an a la carte business, so we give an itemized estimate, but some people only have us do 1 or 2 of the different steps along the way, which I'm going to explain to you next. So the 4 steps in the moving plan, the first one is the planning stage. And when we are planning, we do the overall project management. We do start with a floor plan. So typically, if our clients are moving to an assisted living or an independent living situation, then we go to that new apartment. We take very detailed measurements, and we put together a floor plan for them that is done to scale with our floor planning tool that has hundreds of magnets of all different shapes and sizes, of all different styles of furniture. So when we come for that first appointment after somebody has chosen to move forward with working with us, then we sit down and we do that floor plan first. That floor plan really drives a lot of the conversation so that we know what's actually going to fit, and maybe some items that they were hoping to bring, they realize are not going to fit. It also provides an opportunity for people to make choices. So if this love seat or that couch or this end table or that end table or the kitchen table or maybe the table in the den might fit better, we get a very realistic picture of what's actually going to fit. And then we can move on from there. The next step is the downsizing. These are all the pre-move appointments that come before the move. And this can sometimes be the biggest part of what we do with people. So when we come, we do one-on-one downsizing appointments. Of course, we don't come in and make those decisions for the client, but we come and work with them. For example, usually I like to do, if I'm doing the appointment, I will come and we will maybe work on the kitchen first. We'll go cabinet by cabinet, literally pull everything out, help the person make a decision on what they're going to be needing and maybe what they really just don't use anymore. So we talk about how many meals will be provided, if any, where they're moving. Do they still enjoy baking? If they don't, then they don't need to bring their baking thing. So really help walk them through. If people are choosing to donate items, we can even put the items that they aren't going to keep and put them in a box, and at the end of the appointment, we'll load up our car and we'll bring them over to the Broman Carl thrift store or wherever it is that they would like us to donate things. So those one-on-one appointments are really great because it gives us an opportunity to really learn their story. I hear the best stories. One of my favorite things about this business is the incredible people that we get to meet. And we get to learn about their history and their stories and their careers and their military service. You learn so much about people. One of the people that I worked with in Peoria in very early stages of our business was a couple. They were in their 90s. He was in the military. He had training to be an optometrist. And so we found all over their house. I literally went through every single thing in their entire house with them over the course of a month. We would find little treasures that were historical equipment, original contact lenses, which by the way were this big, that we would find. So we had a box that every time we found something, we would put in that box for the family to see, and he ultimately ended up donating those things to an optometry museum in Chicago. So you just learn so many neat stories about people, and I'll tell you, with that couple in particular, one of the greatest joys that still makes my heart just beat fast when I think of them is the privilege of watching the interaction of a couple that had been married for 72 years. It was really fun. And it was very funny at times, and a couple times she'd say, Norton, I think you need to go outside. Because he kept wanting to tell me story and story and story. And they were just so special, and they moved to Chicago to be near their family. And so we partnered with another senior move manager, which I'm going to get to in a little bit. I ended up driving up there a month later just so I could see them and see their new place. And they proudly showed me their apartment that we had done the floor plan for, took me all around the grounds. So you really build some really neat relationships with people because you're downsizing with them and you are learning everything about them. We do partner with a lot of organizations in town as well. So we act as that kind of go-between to help people figure out what on earth are we going to do with everything that's left. That's usually almost the bigger stressor, is what are we going to do with everything? So we act as a go-between for estate sale people, auctioneers, different charities in town. So we help with the family try to create what the best plan is that works with their desires and with the types of things that they're trying to find a new home for. And then when it comes time for the move, typically if somebody's moving to a condo or a smaller home or an independent senior living community, we do a move over the course of 2 days. So the first day is the packing. So our team arrives at 9 a.m. We bring all of the supplies, so you don't have to worry about that. We come in, of course, we have the floor plan, so we know what pieces are being moved. And assign everybody a room, they get to know the client, and everybody just gets started. So we get everything packed up the day before the move, so you don't have to live amongst a lot of boxes and have everything be really disheveled for weeks and weeks on end by packing a little bit at a time. So we pack everything up, taking very, very special care to take a lot of pictures. One of the things that sets a senior move manager apart from just maybe a regular mover is that we do take a lot of pictures and we have the same team pack that will unpack. So for example, we move a lot of curio cabinets. Whoever is packing that curio cabinet, they will take a picture of the curio cabinet. They will pack the curio cabinet very carefully. When we get to the other end and it's moved, they will get their phone out. They will zoom in on every picture that they took, and they will put everything back in that curio cabinet just where it was. Because we know, for our client, that's how they liked it, and that really will help them to recreate the environment that they were in. That's really our goal. So even to the point of I keep wanting to call it a nightstand, an end table. The remote, the phone charger, the lamp, the notepad, whatever was on there, we will put everything right back because that's where you're used to having it. So even though they're changing locations, we're trying to make things as familiar as we can, and that starts with a careful packing process. So when it comes time for the next morning, we hire a local mover, and that fee is paid separately from our fees. But that local mover arrives the next morning. Our team leader oversees everything getting loaded onto the truck. So we make sure everything gets on there that's supposed to. Sometimes if a family is having an estate sale, everything is still left in the house, so that's a little bit more challenging to make sure we've identified the pieces that are going. We use a real fancy system. It's little green dots, little, garage sale stickers that we put on all the furniture that is going, and that's a tip to the movers as well as to us to remember what furniture is supposed to be moved. So they load up the truck, and once they are done loading the truck, the team leader sends a text message to everybody on the team and says, we are headed to wherever they're moving. We do work with almost all of the senior living communities here in town. Of course, we work mostly with Westminster and Luther Oaks because those are the two larger ones. But we do work with all the different senior living communities, not only here, but kind of within that hour radius because we're really the only senior move managers in this area. So we'll go to Peoria. We actually are doing quite a bit up in Ottawa right now, and Springfield, Haven't really done much in Decatur, but we've worked in Champaign as well. So we'll head over to wherever they're moving. The team meets us there that helped pack. As things come off the truck, we place everything according to the floor plan. The boxes go into the appropriate rooms, and the team gets really busy, really quick with unpacking. By the time we are done that afternoon, we'll just place a phone call to the client. Typically, the client just kind of stays away because it's very chaotic and there's a lot of boxes and not much room. So we place a call about a half an hour before we're done and say, hey, go ahead and come on over. We're almost done. We're kind of to the point of cleaning up. So they come back and voila. Everything is put away. Their beds are made. The only thing that we don't do is we don't hang the pictures because that's something that, you know, the new person and our client would want to be there for. And typically at a senior living community, the staff there will hang pictures. But other than that, everything is there. Everything has seemingly magically gone from their home to wherever their new home is. One of my favorite responses that I will never forget was a gentleman that we moved from the Willows, which is kind of like a villa style right next to Westminster, into what they call the big house. That means moving into the actual Westminster building. We moved him into assisted living, and he was in his 90s. I had also gotten to know them really well, and they're his two daughters. Kind of kept him busy during the day, and when he came back, I will never forget, his feet, his toes were barely over the threshold. And he just let out a great big, wow! And we were just like, he's like, this is amazing! And he was obviously a gregarious personality, but his enthusiasm, I knew he would be excited. But my team just started tearing up, and it was one of the first times that they had actually been there when somebody came back, because in the beginning, they would kind of leave and clean up, and I would stay. And I will just never forget it. He just walked around and he just kept, this is amazing. My whole linen closet, oh, my bed's made. Oh, my desk looks exactly like it used to. I mean, it was just so special. And we get that a lot. You know, I received an email, we moved somebody in June from Spring Ridge here over to Westminster, and received an email a couple days later. And Roger said, I have told everybody about the magic your team did with our move. I still can't get over it. So as much as I can tell them and explain to them what we're going to do, you know, it's just more than people expect is always our goal. To go the extra mile, you know, all the electronics, everything are all plugged back in, and they really can just step in and start living. Probably a lot of people take a nap because they're exhausted through the process and nervous, and they can just, you know, go and have dinner and just kind of move on and be able to just enjoy their new place. So like I said, we are located and based here out of Bloomington, and we do work within the central Illinois area, but maybe you aren't from this area and you traveled in today, or if you're watching this later and you live someplace across the country, you're thinking, well, darn, how come I can't have that service where I live? Maybe you know somebody. Maybe your parents live in a different location or a different state. Maybe you have family or friends that are in this situation that are really struggling with this process. Well, I have really great news for you. And the great news is that there is a National Association for Senior Move Managers. In 2002, a group of senior move managers found each other on an internet chat room. So we're coming up to almost 20 years ago next year, celebrating that anniversary. A few months later, they decided there was a lot of benefit in forming a national association for best practices, for support, and for training. Now, interestingly enough, last year, in 2020, amidst the pandemic and everything that was going on, they made the decision to also add in specialty, the word specialty, to the title. National Association of Senior and Specialty Move Managers. As senior living communities were closing due to COVID, people realized there were other people that were still moving that were more specialty markets, like people going through a divorce, military families, kids moving to college, are just a few examples. So they added that into the title, so that that is another area that people can kind of choose to move into. The Senior Move Manager title is actually a registered trademark of the National Association of Senior Move Managers. I'm going to shorten that to NASM, so I don't have to keep saying that over and over. That's what we refer to ourselves as. The National Association of Senior Move Managers, or NASM, has this trademark that only people that are members can use in any of their literature or any of their verbiage. There is a part on the website, which is nasm.org, where you can click on the Find a Move Manager. The Find a Move Manager gives us two options of how to find somebody in an area. You can do it state by state. So let's say your parent or your friend lives in Denver, Colorado. You could go in and look at Colorado, and it will pull up every single member organization that's part of NASM with all of their contact information, their web links, their phone numbers, and everything like that. Or if you have somebody's zip code, you can just plug that right in, and it will give you any senior move manager that is within a 50-mile radius. There are 1,000 plus NASM member businesses across the United States, Canada, the UK, and Australia. So what's really special is when we, and this happens fairly frequently with us, when we have a client that maybe is starting here in Bloomington and they're moving to a different location, so we can do the planning, the downsizing, and the packing, but unless they want to fly our team to Hawaii, which would be really fantastic, but unless they want us, fly us there to do the unpacking, we look up and find out if there is a senior move manager in that area for them that will meet the moving truck on the other end and then do all of the unpacking, and we share the photographs of everything, and we write notes in the boxes and things like that for the unpacking team. So we really work as a real partnership. So this is a huge advantage to being a part of NASM, is being able to have these partnerships. We also are often on the other end. We have a couple moving from the Rochester, Minnesota area right now that we're working with that's moving to be close to family here in Bloomington, and they're moving to Luther Oaks. So we are partnering with a senior move manager on completing the floor plan. They are doing the downsizing and the packing, and then after the truck gets here, our team will be responsible and will do all of the unpacking for them. So it works both ways. We've been on both ends of that. Being a part of NASM also comes with a lot of requirements. So a NASM member has been carefully vetted. They have shown that they have insurance, that they have a business plan in place. There's multiple things that I'm going to talk about a little bit later, but they are vetted and verified before they can be a member. As a provisional member, when you first join, then you have to have some experience under your belt and then prove that you have that insurance so that you can move forward as a NASM member. One of the neat things that was really important to me when I first started investigating having a senior move management business is that NASM provides some really excellent training. One of their programs is the SMMC certification. So I have this. I have gone through 9 rigorous courses, and then had to prove and by sending them invoices and information about actual clients that I have the experience as well as the knowledge to be able to say that I'm certified. So when you see this little moniker on somebody's webpage, or when you go to the NASM website and find a senior move manager, that's what you'll know, that they have actually been through some additional training and have that certification. NASM is the only nonprofit trade organization for senior move managers, and they are the only ones that have a certification program that includes both knowledge, training, as well as the experience required. This is what I'm currently working on with our business. They also have the A+ accreditation. This is like next level of showing. They have a committee of people. So if you see an A+ accreditation, that is for the entire organization having this type of designation. It's showing that you have your plans in place for not only your business plan, but for your customer service, for your sales funnel, just everything, that you have everything documented as a business to be able to show that you are at kind of an A+ level of handling anything that comes your way and all the different types of clients that we work with. So I'm currently working on this right now. It's fun. So you might be wondering, why is senior move management becoming a thing now and maybe in the past it hasn't? How many people in here have ever heard of senior move management? Yeah, that's pretty much what I get all the time. When people find out about my business and they're like, now what's that? And I tell them and they're just like, oh, that's the best idea. I've never heard of that. Did you invent this? And I say, no, I didn't invent it. But it is a really great, a really amazing business and a wonderful service for people. It's really why I'm so excited to be able to be here, and really on behalf of NASM and all of my partner senior move managers, to just have the opportunity to tell people about that this wonderful service, that it's available not only here but across the country. So here's a statistic that's really interesting that you may have heard before. I know I've seen it come across my AARP information. Every day in the United States, 10,000 people are turning 65 years old. All the baby boomers. 10,000 a day. And the number of older adults will more than double over the next several decades and represent over 20% of the population by the year 2050. Where we stand, we really have a potential market right now of 79 million people. So there's a lot of people out there that are aging, that are turning 65, that have aging parents, that are really needing to know about something like this. One of the other reasons why senior move management has increasingly become important is that a lot of families are dispersed across the country. We no longer are in the situation typically where you have the grandparents, the parents, their adult children, and their families all living in the same area. So like I said, we often work with families that have children that live all over the country that we can partner with. We really act almost as a surrogate family member for them to have that one-on-one experience. We also often hear from the adult children that it's probably better that they're working with us and not them. We don't come with all of the family dynamics, all of the family history, all of those relationship issues. We come in, I've had the adult children say to me before, well, she's really difficult. So it's gonna be really challenging. And then I come in, they're just delightful to me. They're wonderful, they're really, it's just different. And you guys can probably nod your head, you just know how that is typically in families. So it can be a huge benefit to have an outside third party be the person that's going through everything. One of the other benefits of that, I had my very first client had the daughters in San Diego and in Colorado. And I would go and work with their mom, and she had a part-time caregiver that was there. And as we went through to identify what she wanted to bring, she was telling me some really neat stories. And she had this painting that was super important to her, and she told me this whole story about how her aunt had brought it back from France and, told me this really great story. It's a beautiful painting. So when I spoke to the daughter from San Diego later that day, I was kind of going through which items that the mom had said that she wanted to keep, and I said, well, and of course that painting that's above the couch that her aunt brought back from California, that's really important and she wants to bring that. And the daughter said to me, she bought that at Kirkland's. That's not where I don't know what she's talking about. I was so like, oh wow, this is really a neat story. So, if I was the daughter, my inclination may have been to say, Mom, that did not come from Aunt Susie. That's not where that came from. But me, I just listen. And I'm like, that's so neat. Well, I can see it's beautiful. I can see why you would want to bring that. So sometimes having people dispersed across the country is a good thing that we can step in. But it is one of the main reasons why people are really seeking the help locally to wherever their parent is. Does that make sense? Yeah. Also, even if they have children that live in the area, children are often not as available as maybe the parent is hoping. People are waiting until they are older to have children. So even though sometimes we have people that have children that are still school age, that are really still involved, maybe they're still working full time, but their parent, it's time for them and they want to move and downsize and simplify their life. But the adult child just really doesn't have the capacity to do that with their own schedule, like we can send somebody in to work with them. So that's also a reason why people are reaching out for that additional help. Sometimes our clients don't have any living children, and sometimes they've never had any children. And they may have nieces and nephews that maybe can help, but sometimes they don't have anybody else. So finding out about a senior move management company that can come and provide supportive, compassionate, hardworking people that will come and work for them and help them with this overwhelming process, it's a great fit. Our business is almost always built on referrals, and when, for example, at Westminster, when they're talking with somebody that maybe is going to move there, and they hear those stressors, I really want to do this, but I'm too overwhelmed, like I don't even know where to begin. I have this house, I have all these things. They for sure always make sure that they give us, their information, and we have worked with, just like I said, just the most amazing people. Probably my biggest surprise is the number of people we've worked with in their 90s. I did not anticipate that when I first started this business. It's pretty neat. Get to hear a lot of neat stories. When you're in your 90s, likely your children are seniors themselves. So the adult child, it's kind of funny to call them a child, but the adult children of our clients, maybe they're going through their own season of trying to downsize and simplify, and they're tired. This is a very physical job. It's emotional, but it's also really physical. So this is another level of care that we can give that sometimes their adult children just really aren't in a place in their life where they want to. And maybe they've already helped downsize once, maybe from the original farmstead, and then they're widowed, and they've moved them once, and they've said, never again. Time for somebody else to come and step in. So I hear that a lot. I've done this, now we just want to spend time with mom and let you take care of the rest of it. And that is one of the real benefits of working with us, is on the move day, or even on the packing or the unpacking, the adult children can just spend time with their parent. and they don't have to be the one in the throes of boxing things up and unpacking and trying to figure out where everything goes. So Beautiful Life Senior Relocation Services, that we do specialize in working with seniors, and that's pretty much all that we do. We occasionally will help with some clean outs after somebody has passed away, that type of thing. But for the most part, what I've described to you, those 4 steps of packing, or planning, the downsizing, the packing, and the unpacking, that's pretty much what we are always sticking to with all of our clients. There are, however, many businesses out there that do other things or have added senior move management services to the list of things that they offer. For example, professional organizers, real estate agents. Some people, real estate agents, have their license, they're helping them sell the house, and then they've also developed the team that can pack and move them. Home stagers, home health care companies, elder law attorneys, interior design firms, and even some moving companies. Some senior move managers have added like moving and have their own fleet of trucks and things like that to their business model. We have not done that. We do partner with several of the local movers here in town that we will hire for you and make all those arrangements. But we currently do not have like our own fleet of trucks or anything like that. But some people do. Some people do. Sometimes I think that would be really great. So I'm always kind of stressing over when they're available, especially right now with the housing market being so crazy. It's something else. So if you or somebody else that you know is in the position of finding a NASM member that lives someplace else, I'm going to show you some questions and things to consider when you're talking about finding a senior move manager, maybe in a different location. There certainly are people that do senior move management work that are not members of NASM, but I want to kind of point out some of the benefits of being a part of NASM that maybe you hadn't considered. First of all, we're specialists. We're really working with the senior community. There's a lot of training that goes into understanding and learning memory loss, dementia, other health issues. If we're working with clients that maybe you have an oxygen tank, there's just all sorts of different variables that come into play when you're working with seniors. So having somebody that actually specializes in that is a real benefit. We also have that national network of being a part of NASM, where we can partner with the other senior move managers. One of the joys for me is really just the mentorship, especially when I first started. I have a project management background, so I'm good at the details and planning and knowing all the different steps. But there was a lot that I didn't know in the beginning. So to be able to have that network of people that you can contact and really ask those questions to is really, really important. The experienced professional, as being a part of the National Association of Senior Move Managers, is also important. However, if you're working with somebody that's brand new, don't be afraid. They're often very hungry and eager. They come to the table with the additional training from NASM, as well as being able to have the resources to grow and learn. We are also in NASM bound by a code of ethics, and we are subject to that. There is a peer-reviewed ethics committee, so if there is any type of issues, that we are held accountable for our ethical behavior, and there's a set of standards of how we're supposed to conduct ourselves when we're working with each other, as well as working with our clients. Personal development is also one of my favorite things. So I applaud you for coming today, because you're learners. I love the opportunity to go and learn more about what I'm doing, but also just learn different leadership skills and things like that. The professional development for NASM members, there's an annual conference that people come from all over the country, as well as coming in from the UK and Australia and everything for that conference to learn from each other and learn about our industry and learn how we can best help our clients. It's also a requirement of NASM that you have that insurance and that you have proof of that. We have to send them our insurance, so that's also a great benefit of working with somebody that's a part of NASM. And then the ongoing coursework and just having that set of core competencies is really something that is stressed with NASM. And so being a part of that organization, you know that you're going to be working with somebody that has kind of had that next level of training. So if you're going to be meeting with somebody or some questions, here are some things to consider. Again, how long have you been providing services? Again, don't shy away from somebody that might be new. In the beginning, this was the question that I dreaded the most because I didn't want to say 2 months. But of course I said 2 months. But here's what I bring to the table. People really liked knowing that I had been through some sort of training. And I was also okay to say, you know, I'm not really sure about that. I'm going to have to get back to you on that. And just making sure I went home, I made a phone call, I got online to learn about the resources in town. I get a lot of very specific questions about, well, what are we going to do with the piano? And in the beginning, I didn't know what you were going to do with the piano. So, you know, I've just learned a lot over the last 4 years. So I would say don't shy away from somebody if they are new, because they're also learning, but they have a lot of resources at their fingertips to help figure out. Everybody's a problem solver that's doing this job, for sure. Asking if they have participated in any of the formal training. Asking, especially if they're not a NASM member, if they have the insurance, if they're going to be doing the packing. Asking if they charge by the hour or by the project. Two very different ways that senior move management businesses operate. We operate on an hourly basis. I have only done one job that was a very different type of job that I just kind of bundled it and told them one price for the whole thing. But a big part of what we do at that initial consultation is providing that estimate to our client. That's actually a requirement of NASM, that we provide a written estimate of the costs involved. So I think that's something that you're going to want to find out, and even just payment options, you know, do they take checks, do they take credit cards, all of that type of thing might be important to you as you're deciding who you're going to work with. In larger markets, you have a lot of choice. You don't have a choice here. It's just us. But so you might meet with a couple of different people if people are in a different market, in a larger market, and that might be a determining factor for you. Again, we are required as NASM members to provide a written contract restating the terms of the agreement, as well as anything that like we won't pack. What happens if somebody wants to cancel the agreement? You know, all of those kind of real fun legal things, that everything is set forth so that you're really clear what's going to happen under different types of circumstances. Can you provide any references? I am honestly really shocked at the fact that I don't hardly ever get asked this, but I guess when I look at it, it's because most of our business is a referral business. They're coming to me because somebody has told them that they've had a really great experience or that they know about what we do. So a lot of our references come from the senior living community themselves. Certainly past clients of ours, like the gentleman, Roger, who said, I'm telling everybody about the magic you worked. I can't get enough of I want to tell everybody. To family and friends that know what we're doing and refer people and say, oh my gosh, you need to give Julie a call. So that would be really important. The caveat, as we all know with references, is people will give you names of people that loved their service. So, you know, you have to kind of take it with a grain of salt, but you can always call references and ask more detailed questions if there was something that you weren't real sure about. Ask them if they're a member of NASM. Now that you know what all is involved in being a member of NASM, it is good for you to maybe find out if they are a part of that organization. Asking if their company is accredited with that A+ accreditation, or if they have personally gone through the SMMC certification. As I said, if you go to the website and you do the Find a Senior Move Manager, and it pops up the list of people, it will have on there those two icons, either if they are an A+ accredited or if they have the Senior Move Management. So you can, if it's a NASM member, you can tell right away. So if I have a whole list when I need to move somebody to Minnesota, and I look up and there's all these different companies, I'll look and kind of see who are the A+ people, A+ accredited first, and then kind of visit their website, see what it looks like, see what types of services that they offer, and see if they're kind of a good personality match. Because I often have people say, so mom and dad are moving to Springfield, Missouri, and we want somebody just like you. That's over there. And so that, to be able to find somebody that kind of has a similar sense of how they operate their business. There are some people that have chosen to franchise their business, so some people buy into as a franchise. Those are much larger organizations. They are wonderful as well, but sometimes people want kind of that small business owner type mentality when they're working with somebody. Asking if they actually do offer the customized floor plans. Not everybody does that. I can't imagine doing a move without it. Some people do the fancy computerized floor planning with people. I choose to do the hands-on magnets on the board so I can sit with people and we can kind of move the magnets around. It's a little bit more concrete and easy for people to kind of picture. But that's a service that not everybody will offer. This is a big one. Senior Move Managers vary widely with how much hands-on help they give with hauling, with disposing of things, with making arrangements with charities, all of that. So that's like we talked about, that's a huge part of this process for most people. So finding out kind of what they provide in that area is going to be really important. I field calls all the time from people. Like, I say, just call me if you just want to know. You're doing your own downsizing, you're kind of taking care of all that, but you just really need to know, is there anything that we can do with the gun collection that my dad had, and we don't know what to do with it now? And I can give you the name of somebody that is connected to an auction house that works a lot with selling collectible guns, with stamps, with coins, those types of things. So I'm more than happy. I put my business card out there for all of you. If you even just have simple questions like that and you need some direction, one of the things I love is just helping to be a resource for anybody that calls me to try to help make those connections for you, okay? Do you schedule, oversee, and work with the movers? You cannot just roll up to Westminster with a big, huge moving van and have nobody know about it. There's a lot that goes into play on where do they park, which elevators can you use, just all of that. So this is an important part of, are you still going to be responsible for all of those connections and making sure that the senior living community knows all of those types of things? Or is the Senior Move Manager going to make sure, because they're used to working in that community and they kind of know the ins and the outs? For example, we have a move coming up at Blair House. How many of you have ever been to Blair House? They have one elevator. It's right inside the door and it's right next to the dining hall. So you cannot schedule a move to arrive when everybody's trying to come down and eat lunch. You can't do that because you can't have that elevator, all busy and having nobody have access. So there's some ins and outs that you want to find out if you're going to be responsible or if the Senior Move Manager will do that. The billing for the mover should, in my opinion, always go directly from the client to the movers as well. It should not feed through the Senior Move Management Company. just for not only bookkeeping reasons, but also for liability reasons, because if I'm the one paying the bill, then technically I'm kind of the one that has the liability, and that I've signed the contract with the mover. The client has signed the contract with the mover. So that payment needs to be directly between the two of them. Does the senior move manager actually do the packing? Some do not. Some choose not to carry that liability coverage, and so they work with a mover that does the packing, and they have a team leader that's there to oversee that packing and having it get on the truck, and then their team will do the unpacking. So that's obviously something that's going to be important. It might vary from different senior move managers. And do they just unpack like a regular mover and set things out, or do they totally unpack the home and resettle, get you all settled in like to the level of like what we do? That's one of our favorite parts, is going around, you know, kind of trying to make it look just perfect. I get a little crazy sometimes. I think sometimes I walk into the room and my team member, they'll smile at me and I'm like, I'm leaving. I'm not going to micromanage all the wonderful things that you guys have done, because I like to decorate, and so it's really fun. We recently moved somebody from their original home into an assisted living community up in Ottawa, and they had tons of family pictures. One of the things that you lose often when you move to a smaller space are flat surfaces to put your pictures on. And I see this a lot with a lot of our clients. We're going to bring the pictures because they're very important. That's what they like to be surrounded with. But what are we going to do with all of them? They happen to have a kitchen that you could put things above in the kitchen cabinets. So we got our step ladder out and we built up on top there so that you can see all the pictures, and lined up all of their pictures up around that whole entire rim in their kitchen. And that was the biggest thing that they noticed as soon as they walked in. They were so happy because they were worried about that everything was just going to stay in a box in the second bedroom, and they weren't even going to be able to really get out those pictures and see them. So it's those little touches of really seeing things through the lens of our client and like how their home was decorated and what's really important to them. And just asking what additional services they provide. There's a huge range. Everything from working with hoarding situations to digitizing photos, that's hard to say, photo digitizing, to clean out after somebody passes away, coming in. There's a huge range of different types of services that different senior move managers offer. So even though I haven't said that there's something that I offer, when you're talking to somebody in a different area, they may have some other amazing things that they can help you with that we haven't even really talked about here today. Again, the pricing. This is going to vary significantly from region to region. So as you can imagine, an hourly rate in Chicago or New York City is going to be different than what our hourly rate is here in Bloomington Normal. Okay, so it does very much matter where you're at. So that's why we give that estimate, is so that you know going into it before you move forward with any kind of contract what the costs are involved. So if you have a to-do list, and maybe you're in the throes of considering this for yourself or for a parent, and your to-do list is really overwhelming, if that's overwhelming you, and if you do want a partner to walk through this with you that has the experience and the knowledge, and I think more importantly, the heart and the compassion for working with seniors and for the situation and how stressful it is for you, we hope locally that you'll give us a call or refer a friend to us if they are going through just this really stressful time right now. Like I said, that first initial consultation is for free, just to be able to share a little bit more. And if you're not local and you're thinking senior move management sounds amazing and we really could use this service, I want to encourage you to go to the NASM website, nasm.org, and plug in your zip code or look it up by the state. to find somebody nearby you that would be able to come and just at least have that no obligation consultation to talk to you a little bit more about what's involved in helping you through this really, really challenging time. Because our end goal is, again, to provide less stress and peace of mind for our clients. And if you've been through this before, you know these things are really hard to come by when you're going through that downsizing and moving process. So it sounds good, doesn't it? Yeah, I know, just in general in life. I had somebody chase me down, we have it on the back of our shirt, and they were like, I don't know what you do, but I want some of that. So, it is really a special service. Thank you for the opportunity to come and share not only about what we do here locally, but the opportunity to be able to have people all across the country be able to learn about the importance of senior move management and how much we can really help people like you and probably like people you know. So thank you.